Welcome, welcome everyone to this final and important workshop for our mini Teach for the Bay virtual conference. Thank you for joining us. And for those of you who have been to several workshops, thank you for engaging all throughout the day. We're going to end the day with an important conversation with leaders in the field of pre-apprenticeship, specifically folks who are building capacity and programs for engaging young people in exploring careers in education. I'm sorry about that. You can hear the background of my school announcement. So I want to start by thanking everyone for being here. Our panelists, some of our panelists are from Southern California, and some of our panelists are doing amazing work here in the Bay Area region. And all of us are going to support each other today in growing our capacity. So thank you for making the time, each of the panelists. So I want to begin by having each panelist briefly introduce themselves. We are recording this session, and it will be available to you. We'll be following up with all the folks who registered, and you can go to teachforthebay.com. You'll see resources posted there shortly after the conference. In addition to recording, you'll also have access to our slides. There is a big body of knowledge here, so you can follow up with any of the presenters. They'll be sharing their contact information. And as we move forward, we're going to take questions in the chat. So if somebody says something that you're curious about, you want to know more about, we're going to hold questions until the end, but you can drop that question in the chat so you don't forget, and I'll pull them out at the end for us to engage with each other as we close our session. We'd also like for you to stay on to complete an evaluation form so that we can do better the next time we hold a conference like this. Okay, and so before I have each panelist introduce themselves, I want to just ground us for a moment in a sense of purpose. Anybody who works with young people in pre-apprenticeship programs knows just how powerful this work is, not only because the young people that we're engaging are transforming as young leaders, because they're learning about child development, and engaging in early college coursework that we know improves their chances of matriculating through the university system and graduating, but also because of the way they're serving in our community. So if your pre-apprenticeship program currently has or wants to have a fieldwork component or an internship component, the immediate impact in classrooms that I've seen from our apprenticeship program, I get to work with Dr. Chavarin on this panel and Oakland Unified School District to bring young people into classrooms to support children in the ECE setting, TK5 setting. And the work is just so powerful on a day-to-day basis. It's an immediate impact that young people are having in their community. And so this work is important because of that particular aspect where we don't have to wait to see young people grow. It's happening immediately. We don't have to wait to support classrooms until people are credentialed. It's happening immediately. And more importantly, in a district like ours in Oakland Unified, which is, one of the largest school districts in the region, the Bay region, young people are multilingual, they're multi-ethnic, and we're getting young people to think about careers in education who are from our communities. And so I am excited about pre-apprenticeship work because of the grow your own capacity that it builds. And so I just wanted to share that because I am a believer, and I really am excited that, one day we might, every high school in California might have a pre-apprenticeship program. And so that's what today is all about, growing our capacity, inspiring each other, and really learning from folks who've been doing the work for a while now. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our panelists to do a quick introduction of yourselves to our community, and then we'll go into your programs in more detail. So let's go ahead and start with Ken, and then we can move on from there.
Yeah, hey, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ken Anderson. I'm the teacher and coordinator for the CTE education pathway, excuse me, at Corona High School down in Southern California. I love all like the hearts and thumbs up I'm seeing floating across the screen. I'm not used to, I don't know if this is like a Bay Area thing or what that's about, but it's great.
Joya, can you introduce yourself next?
Of course, it's wonderful to be here with all of you. I'm Dr. Joya Chabrin. I'm the faculty coordinator of the Education Teacher Prep program at Berkeley City College in the Bay Area region. And I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Jessica. It's good to see you, Jessica.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Hi, Joya. My name is Jessica Ramos. I am the success coordinator for the Oaktown Leaders Program, which is a pre-apprenticeship here in Oakland in OUSD, and I would love to talk more about it. And I'll pass it on to, or is that all of us? Or Leslie, sorry.
Thanks, Jessica. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. I'm Leslie Marley. I'm one of 3 coordinators of college and career readiness for the Contra Costa County Office of Ed. My areas of expertise are with the East County school districts, as well as education and early childhood education programs, which we have 20 schools in our county that we support. And so next, Bree, if you'd like to go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Bree Celestin. I work alongside Ken, and I am the teacher and coordinator of the CTE education pathway at Norco High School. I love that this is about growing your own because I'm actually a graduate from Norco High School. My husband teaches at Norco High School and is a graduate of Norco High School, so super passionate about this work.
Sharon, would you like to go next?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Sharon Turner. I'm with the Bay Area Community College Consortium, and I am here today to talk about money available to support pre-apprenticeship. So I work with the K-12 Strong Workforce Program, which is funding available to high school partners, high school and middle school partners to support K-14 pathways from the high school into community college. And one of the things that we love and help to support is pre-apprenticeship with this funding.
Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. So now that you've had a chance to introduce yourselves, let's get into our first question or focus, which is, telling us a little bit about your programs, how you've designed them, how they're structured. And let's go ahead and start. We can go through the order of our slides here. Let's go ahead and start here. Oops, sorry. I'm gonna get back to your slides. Sorry, my screen is being funny. Okay, here we go.
All right. Well, yeah, so we'd love to tell you about the education pathway. We like to call it Teachers of Tomorrow. Yeah, Bree, did you want to start us off here?
Yeah, sure. So, yeah, to briefly tell you what this looks like for us, it simply put, our CTE education pathway is a 2-year program for students who are interested in a career in education. It consists of 2 G elective classes at the high school level and an opportunity beginning within their 2nd year of the program to work as paid youth apprentices within our school district while they're still students. And then I'm going to hand it over to Ken to tell you a little bit more about the courses.
Yeah, and if we could click to that next slide, that would be great. So our first course is called Teachers of Tomorrow 1, and essentially what we're trying to do in there is a lot of experiential learning. And so we know for a lot of students who come into our classrooms, being up in front of a group is terrifying. And yet to be a teacher, it's something you've got to be comfortable doing. And so we get them up front doing lots of different presentations, and then also simulated lessons. And so we'll have them create a lesson plan for, maybe they want to teach 2nd grade, and they'll create a mini lesson for a 2nd grade classroom. All of our students will pretend to be their 2nd graders, and we'll have our student act as the teacher and teach a lesson. And so they get a lot of opportunity to be up front and kind of in the shoes of a teacher. They've been in classrooms, obviously, for years, but to be in the role of the teacher is a very different experience than the role of a student, of course. And so we're trying to get them as many at-bats as we can, so they get some practice, right, and get more comfortable up front. And then our second year course is Teachers of Tomorrow 2. Prerequisite is that first year course. And this is where we focus on getting them ready to work in classrooms. A big part of that second year course is them doing field work. And so some of them are in a pre-apprenticeship stage, some of them are in apprenticeship stage, and they are in classrooms a couple of times a week at local elementary schools, assisting a teacher and working with students. And then in our classroom time with them, we're doing things like college exploration and planning, helping them map out a plan moving forward for how they can actually become teachers. We go through things about philosophy of education and help them kind of start to think about what they think about how things ought to work in a classroom and in education more broadly. And then we do a lot of stuff to help them get ready for next steps. So interview prep, resume building, job searching, and then more of that experiential learning through more of those simulated lessons. And then we've got this youth apprenticeship piece, which is a pretty awesome thing that our district has going. So beginning in that second year, once they're into Teachers of Tomorrow 2 or beyond, they can take advantage of working as a youth apprentice. And so it's similar to the field work, except now they are literally on the job. They have a class period where they are over at a local elementary school working in a classroom as what we call paraeducator apprentices. Some of them also work or alternatively work in an after-school setting. It's called ELOP. It's our Extended Learning Opportunity Program. But for most of them, it's happening during the actual school day. And so that means, of course, they're receiving elective credits for the youth apprenticeship class. They're getting all kinds of experience and building their resume. And then they're also paid employees of our district who are, on the clock during the school day. And so it doesn't get much better than that in terms of an incentive for students. And from what we understand, our district is actually currently the largest employer of youth apprentices in the state. And so, and then of course, as Bree alluded to earlier, beyond the immediate experience for our students, we're well aware that there is a growing teacher shortage. And so the hope is that many of the students we have in our program who go through will eventually come back and return to our district as teachers.
Thank you. Oops. This is okay. Let's see. So let's have Leslie, would you like to share next?
Sure. We are located very close to the Bay Area. We are about, depending on traffic, of course, about half an hour to 45 minutes away from San Francisco. And so we have a very large county with a lot of different programs. And as I mentioned in the introduction, we have about 20 different schools that have a variety of different programs, similar to the type of program that Ken and Bree talked about. But what we're going to be talking about today is we're just going to pick out one of the programs, probably one of our most successful ones, our pre-apprenticeship program. And so in the county office, Contra Costa County offices, regional occupation, ECE program, we have two high schools. So we have a high school on the east, Pittsburgh High School, that is connected to Los Medanos Community College. And then on the west, which is the one that I'm going to talk about today, is Richmond High School in West Contra Costa County Unified School District. And they are connected to Contra Costa County Community College. Now, if you can remember all of those lovely educational acronyms, then I will give you a prize at the end of this presentation. But what our students are doing is they are in dual enrollment classes. So my cursor can kind of go over where the teal looking boxes on the flyer. The dual enrollment course load looks like this, that they're doing a careers in teaching class that is articulated with CCC. Summer of 11th grade, they are doing their OJT, their apprenticeship. It's about 8 weeks. Our students were originally, when we proposed this program, going to do a full apprenticeship program, but we did the calculations and there's not enough days in the summer anymore with the different holidays to be able to do the full 50 days, 150 hours. So we are in a pre-apprenticeship. And then they also take more dual enrollment classes, one during the summer, and they also take 2 their senior year. So it's 2 junior year, 1 during the summer, and 2 senior year for depending on 12 to 15 units. We're very flexible. Some of our students participate in OJT, some of them don't. Of course, if they don't participate in OJT in the full program, they're not really considered pre-apprentices. So we really try to open our doors, just like all you have been saying, to grow your own. Because maybe someone's going to be a teacher, maybe they're going to be going to the university. We talk about passionately when we go over these particular classes, especially in early childhood education, that we are growing great future parents, future aunts and uncles, future godparents, future support for our children in any way possible. And that's what we're really passionate about. We are very excited to be able to offer them so many college credits in that short amount of time, but that's intense, right? And does a junior or senior necessarily want to give up, 2 classes a day for the college courses that they're taking? It's kind of a big undertaking. And so we are working on recruitment. This is one of the flyers that is done by my amazing ECE support person that I just got on October 1st. So super, super happy about that, able to get some help. This particular program at West Contra Costa County has 75 potential pre-apprentices this summer, which is exciting and terrifying all at the same time. And so we're very excited about the growth. Lots of transferable skills and credits, whether it's the OJT that they get with the YMCA of the East Bay. And I cannot say enough about ESEPs. I know there's 3 of you on here. I love ESEPs, and I know ESEPs is going to be, discussed in a couple of other programs, but our intermediary and their support is invaluable. There's no way me being a former high school principal could do anything creative and supportive like this without their help and their training. But wonderful work-based learning, great opportunities for kids that have never had jobs, and such a huge impact on the community. We had boys. I don't know about you guys, but you never see boys, men, males in ECE. The other little boys in the ECE programs thought they were superheroes. It was the coolest thing in the entire world. And so I just love my job. I love what I do, and I love helping kids do their thing. So thank you.
Once again.
Thank you, Leslie. And apologies again. I am still at the high school where I teach, and so there's announcements going on. Okay, let's go ahead and have Jessica talk about their pre-apprenticeship program in Oakland Unified next.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Jessica Ramos. I'm actually an OUSD alumni myself. I graduated from Skyline High School. I'm sending my thoughts and prayers to everybody who was affected at the shootout today. Unfortunately, Skyline did get a little thing going on today, so I'm just sending, all my kiddos have been texting me, and I've just been checking up on them as well. So sad that we live in a country that our schools are not that they're affected every day. But I grew up in Oakland, went to Skyline, graduated from UC Berkeley, and came back to the community. So kind of grow your own. I actually took all the majority of the classes that we offer through our apprenticeship program, pre-apprenticeship program, just because I wanted to be a teacher. My mom's a teacher. And so I was like, you know what, I want to try it out. And then I went to college, and I actually did the UC Berkeley's EC program. And I was like, you know what, I think I'd rather support students on the other side. And that's where I kind of learned, like, there's different ways you could still do education or become an educator through multiple ways and not just be a teacher. So our pre-apprenticeship program, what we have our 10th and 12th graders explore education careers, obviously with ECE, but majority of them are really interested in just having something to know or learn about ECE or children about families or educators. And so our pre-apprenticeship is about 4 classes, 12 units. They get 2 summers of paid work experience, where we have a partnership with ECHO, which is a local, which is which is our partnership with OUSD, where they give internships to our students. So the tier 1 is 6 college units, and that will go for an IA permit. And the tier 2 is 12 college units, and it's an associate teacher permit. In addition to that, they're also receiving their high school credit and also a boost for their college classes. So they're also getting those college classes or college units as well. In addition to that, they also are we have ESEPS as our main partnership, so they are supporting us with their OJT, and our students are able to complete those hours during the summer. And they also have an access to an apprenticeship. We actually have an apprenticeship. We have the pre-apprenticeship and then the apprenticeship program. The apprenticeship program is ran by Joshua and Brianna, who are new hires and are amazing. So they are actually running the whole apprenticeship program, and pretty much we have about we used to have a cohort of 6, now we have a cohort of 30. We have about 30 different students who are now part of the community college of Berkeley who are taking these classes, and they are working full-time with our schools. So we hope that we could see is that they become a pre-apprentice and then they become an apprenticeship, and we have about 4 students who are doing that way, and hopefully become future educators as well. I had a couple slides, but we could also skip them. This is kind of our demographics. Okay. And what our goal was. We actually have a lot of 9th graders who were interested in the program. Obviously, when they hear the word stipend, it's like, their eyes light up, and it's like, okay, like what I'm getting paid to take a class. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much like how it is. And then you get to explore a whole different career. So this is what I really love. I was like, you know what? I just in high school and I didn't get paid anything. So this is like a really much of a booster. So that's our goal is, to have to have high school juniors and seniors to be able to explore education. The mission is eliminating inequity and providing each child with excellent teachers, especially the grow your own perspective. And this program was actually originated from our talent in HR with OUSD. So it's more about our developing our future plan and having more educators that are coming from Oakland to serve Oakland. And so the vision is prepare for college, career, and community success. And the strategic plan is diversity our educator workforce in service of stable and racially diverse workforce with a focus on Black and Brown excellence. So our student demographics are, we have 33,000, about almost 34,000 students. And our teacher demographics is that we have 2,278, and majority of them are white, but we're trying to switch that as we boost more education and more opportunities into our high schools and helping our support staff be able to get more education so they're able to grow their careers as well.
Thank you, Jessica. And connected to the work that you're doing is the work that Dr. Chavarin is doing at Berkeley City. So I'll transition to you, Dr. Chavarin.
No problem. It's so wonderful to see you all and just honoring our time. Jessica pretty much went over it. We're all grow our own folks. I graduated also from Skyline High School. So we are definitely part of the community growing up in East Oakland. My spouse was a principal in the Oakland Unified School District where we first piloted our youth apprenticeship program with ESEPS sector intermediaries. So you're hearing some of the same discourse in our presentations. And so what Jessica just described is our program, which is pretty much our youth, as well as our Head Start parents and adult learners returning back to school and figuring out their careers. So that's our on-ramp to the viable career where we offer those 12 units. Our youth are amazing because they get paid for not just the classes, but the work experience that Jessica described with the collaboration with the ECHO program, which is really exciting, which is funded, by foundational dollars, along with support from ESEPS with the PIA grant. So just very, very wonderful to have funding like that, including the COIA funds, the California Opportunity Youth Apprenticeship. And then as someone indicated, there's not technically enough hours for it to become a full apprenticeship, but they have the option to stay in their community and continue on to our apprenticeship programming, which is our 60 units where they can get an AA degree. They get to take their dual enrollment classes for free, and then those classes go ahead and stack to another certificate within our college. And then also after that, They get wonderful supports, whether it be transportation or childcare or laptops or Wi-Fi or either, mental health support, or if you're part of the YMCA, you get, wellness, free YMCA membership. So it's pretty attractive. We've had students like Jessica shared, also a UC Berkeley graduate, me too, Jessica. So we go off to the college, we work with children there, whether we want them to become teachers. Yes, we have wonderful males in the program, but sometimes they want to be pediatricians or social workers. But the impact they have on a child's life for those 5 years they typically are matriculating through college to teach is incredible. Each field needs great teachers. So as someone mentioned, the youth apprenticeship on-ramp is an amazing entry point. And it feels really, really wonderful to see the children in the classrooms just feel like, they're closer to the age than, those older teachers are. So it's just a wonderful thing to see from the classroom in the quality side of things, as well as the youth that come back. I have, we've been doing this for a while. So we not only had youth, Jessica, but then they grow your own to become faculty, CTE teachers, and just it keeps going. So all of that to say, after the tier 2, we also have a partnership with CSU and Advance where they can get their BA. It was pretty much developed after our first employer partner, which was YMCA of the East Bay Head Start, which requires the BA. So that is why our tier 3 is that particular completion point. But 2,000 hours of on-the-job training, and the employer partners are incredible because it includes mentorship. And yes, it's wonderful to see ESEPs on the call because they've evolved and made these wonderful systems to support us with the technical assistance. So yes, go Keisha. So appreciate you. And Keisha was an apprentice. So I'm seeing a lot of folks that have matriculated through the system and have become faculty. And Jerica, I hate to call you out, but she's teaching the apprenticeship classes. So we're just all connected. And I do feel like it's a way to change the world. So I'm biased. So next slide.
Oh no, I love that. I love that, Joya. That's exactly what I was trying to say at the beginning. This is a way to change the world and its immediate impact, right? Thank you so much.
Yes, of course. And then the next slide, Jessica pretty much covered it, but just so you all know that each class that the apprentice take, they're paid. And then they're paid over the summer over $1,500. And so it's really a wonderful opportunity to not just take free classes that count for college and matriculation, but also put some money in your pocket too. So that's been the joy to see that piece as well. And this kind of breaks down what it's about. But what I love about the slides when they are sent out, they do include the slides that Jessica just went over, as well as an overview of the program and the application link for next time. It's closed right now, but it's going to open up. And I believe the numbers now, Jessica, are like 89 total apprentices or youth at that point. I don't know, but that was the data as of June 2025. But I don't know this semester's number. So yeah, I'll pass it on because I want us to have time for questions. And
Jerica, before we go to Sharon, which is resources, Bree and Ken were going to present together, and we might want to hear briefly about Norco High School because it's a little she may have some different opinions about how Norco is working, but there were some specific questions that maybe Bree can answer when she's reviewing her role. And that is, we've got questions about how the apprentices are paid and where they're placed, these youth, where they're placed in the community. And your project uses Launch as an intermediary. So we've got lots of varieties of models here. So maybe Jerica, if you could give Bree just a few minutes.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so should I go back to those slides, Bree?
Yeah.
Or
There was a slide titled 4 P's of Apprenticeship, and I think maybe we could go back to there. Ken, do you think that's a good idea? So Ken and I do the same, we do the same thing. Our roles are the same. We're just at 2 the high schools within our district. So I think maybe as we kind of talk about this slide, some of those questions might be answered. And then maybe we can go ahead and expand a little bit about well, what we know about our about the pay, if that sounds all right. Okay, so this is really our biggest learnings that we have categorized into the 4 Ps of apprenticeship. You know, we started this, or we assisted and started in this program 3 years ago, and it was really like building the plane as you're flying it. And so it was a little nerve-wracking at first, but just in retrospect, these are like the categories that we feel like are the most important. So the first P of apprenticeship we say is about partnering, which is all about building relationships, gauging interest, and really knowing where to turn to once your apprentices are hired. And so I know one of the questions was about placing or placement. And so this kind of answers that. So really, it differs from site to site, and we're, you know, our job is to serve the, we want our students to be able to serve those teachers. We want to serve our elementary schools and the people that are partnering with us. So this looks different from site to site, but it really all starts with a conversation of who's interested and how heavily they do or don't want to be involved. So we have school sites or elementary sites that have specific paraeducators who are kind of in charge of like, okay, give us your apprentices' names, and we're going to have conversations with the teachers and place them. We have principals who have entrusted us to have conversations with their teachers. So I have a school that's literally walking distance 5 minutes away from our high school, and I reach out to the staff there and see if they would like apprentices and gauge the interest of my students to see what grade level are you interested, and I do the placement. And then we have certain certain elementary schools whose principals prefer to have those conversations and kind of have control over that. So it really differs from site to site, but really it just wouldn't even be possible without building that relationship and treating the program as a partnership. So that's P number 1 is partnership. And the second P is preparing. So throughout this process, before students are hired, we want to prepare them for the process, and that mainly occurs in the classroom, which is our year 1 and our year 2 classes, where we're, you know, teaching them skills for instruction, and they're practicing those steps so that when they step into the classroom, they're ready to work with students effectively. And we also walk students through, I know Ken mentioned this earlier, things like building resumes, going over interview skills, partaking in mock interviews, and really discussing professionalism. And more than anything, we want to remind them that they are young professionals in training. And so I'm going to hand it over to Ken to talk about partnering and preparing. Go ahead, Ken.
Yeah, so you guys just got to know, Bree and I have worked together the last 3 years, and she is amazing at making things look visually appealing, as you can see on this slide. I'll just create like a white slide with black text, and then I just give it to her, and she Breeifies it, and she has done that. And we had this slide ready for another presentation. We never got to it. So I am so delighted that we get to use the 4 Ps slide here. Okay, so processing, this has been one of the most messy parts for us because our students are students of our district, but also they become employees of our district. And so we have, over the last couple of years, kind of worked out an onboarding process. And that's just required a lot of partnering and working with various people at our district office, from, you know, human resources to people who do like our safety training videos and things of that sort, because there's a lot of information that they need to get. And so, you know, we take them through, they officially apply, they do an official application with our district, and then they formally interview with some reps from our district. And then once they're hired, it's everything from tax forms to work permits to these mandatory training videos that any other employee would have to do. And so we certainly have learned in the couple years we've done this, it's better to do as much of that as we can toward the end of a school year for the students who will then be working the next school year, because it just takes some time to kind of make all that stuff happen. So all that processing stuff has been a little bit of a work in progress, but you know, it's happening. And so we continue to refine that. And so you got partnering, preparing, processing, and then practicing. We used to teach language arts. We couldn't help do the alliteration here. And so anyhow, this is when students are actually in classrooms. And so as Bree was alluding to, most of them are at elementary sites near their high school campuses, because for some of these students, they don't drive. So it has to be walking distance, and it has to be feasible within our bell schedule where they can get to another site and then back to our campuses in time for their next class. And so we get them into classrooms as close to our sites as possible, and then we're over there observing them and providing feedback and coaching throughout the year as they seek to grow in the various competencies that our program aims to help them master. And that's, I think, part of where maybe Launch comes in. As Kathleen mentioned, Launch helps us as sort of a go-between between our district and the state, Department of Labor and Department of Apprenticeship Standards and all these kinds of things. And so when we talk about like competencies, we've got sort of an official list that matches the state, I guess, requirements that Launch provides us. And then these are the things we kind of help our students work at. And so hopefully that answers some of those questions that were out there. And if not, yeah, feel free to let us know and we can try to clarify further.
And I know someone
Thank you
had, sorry, really quickly. I
Oh,
know
no, go
someone
ahead, Bree. No, go
questions
ahead.
about funding, and so Ken and I think we're in a unique situation where like this program, this was an idea based on our CTE coordinator at the district level, and we're really just in charge of our students at the high school level. So we don't necessarily oversee the funding, but I just double checked for you. And I know that the funding for the students comes out of our LCAP funds that are for CTE use. But that, I mean, as far as that, I don't really have any much information other than that. But I'm happy to get it if there are more questions.
So before we talk a little bit more about funding and Sharon, I'm going to pass the virtual mic to you. I do want to, just because there's some similarities in terms of youth being hired by the district as employees with Oaktown Leaders, and that's the partnership between Berkeley City College that Joya leads and Oakland Unified School District. So I'd like to pass the mic to Joya and Jessica to talk a little bit about, we launched into kind of two domains. One is funding, but the other is, kind of key learnings from doing this work for a while. And I started when we were talking before the session, what are some of the things that you wish you would have known in the beginning that you can share with our community that are key learnings about this work that you think would be valuable? So pass it on to Joya and Jessica, whoever would like to start us off.
In brief, just honoring our dual enrollment system that's been in place for decades. I have to give a shout out to Leslie. She's not here, but basically we initially kicked off having an after school program, which was very challenging. Jessica, you were involved in how hard it was for transportation and to get folks to a centralized high school after school to take dual enrollment classes. So now what's wonderful is the classes are embedded inside the day. And we have wonderful collaborations with great teachers like Jerica, who are there on site, who are in between the classes where the faculty come twice a week, and then you have the teacher in the class. So that's been very, very helpful and supportive. Also having embedded tutor, having bilingual instructors. Jessica's bilingual, but Jessica and Jerica are bilingual, so very blessed and lucky to have those skills in place. And just thinking about a grow your own system, grow your own faculty really is helpful. Making sure they're paid. When we started off, it was a pilot, so it was just stipends. But now they're paid for each class. That's very intrinsically motivated, for youth to get paid for the classes and working with children. And then, I don't know if I'm missing anything, but just the leveraging of capacity and funds. There's some things that the employer does better than the college, and that the ESEP, the sector intermediary, can do with regards to who pays for what, because they need laptops, they need books, they need things that sometimes a little bit harder to get through the college system. But someone asked about funding. We do have strong workforce funds. We have Perkins funds. And then our employer partners have, again, the California Opportunity Youth Apprenticeship. Then ESEPs have funding for youth with the support of PIA funds. So there's definitely a diversification of funding out there. And I guess that's it, because I don't want to talk about, I missed anything, Kathleen or ESEPs, or you all jump in, but that's been really nice. The more that this has become a priority at the state and legislative level, the more options there are as it relates to paying youth. The biggest challenge I don't feel like we quite figured out, that is an issue and a problem, is that our city is a sanctuary city and not all of our high school students have social security numbers, and to be an apprentice you need a social security number, so that sometimes gets challenging because they too want to enroll in college classes and work with children, and so that's been interesting learning that we're still figuring it out. But that's it.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing that forward, because that's definitely a population that we want to serve, and we have to figure out how to serve in Oakland. Jessica, is there anything you would add in terms of key learnings before we move on to talk more in detail about funding?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll leave the funding to y'all, but I do more of the hands-on work with the students. So I meet one-on-ones. At first, it was just me running these 4 different schools. In addition with Cecilia, who is the director of the whole program. But now we obviously got more people, so it's much more like, we all have our different sites. I'm focused at Skyline and Castlemont, and since I already have a tight connection with Skyline, I kind of just, already know the students there, the demographics, obviously the whole campus. So it's more just having to find time. And then also another thing is that, these are high school students, so majority of them are, are barely learning what their social security is, are barely learning. So this year is very different with our onboarding. This year we actually are having to employ them as OUSD employees. So they are actually going through a whole onboarding process. So they're also learning about their social security, California IDs. Last year I had to actually drive them to the DMV and get their California IDs and be able to make sure that they're like, it's part of the adulting, I think those are like key learnings I would say that stick out, especially since with working with high schoolers, it's a little more difficult because you're also learning how to guide them through the whole adulting side of getting a job.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to share a few, I'm in that program, but I run a specific program at a site and connected to Oaktown leaders. And it has to be fun, right? Like we have to recruit by making it fun, and the students will talk to each other over years. And so what I've found is that being embedded in the school in the way that I am, but then also being able to teach at Berkeley City, and then, that connection, the relationships that you're talking about, Jessica. But we've really invested here at CCPA, and why we have had a lot of success with recruitment is investing in the first year of the program, using our funds to get kids out to a ropes course, to doing a lot of community building. And so they're hooked in through the relationships, they're hooked in through the fun, and then of course we're having them do challenging coursework. But I think that piece of embeddedness in the community is so valuable, and then really aligning resources with engagement, especially early on, so that students will stay with us over multiple years and work toward, more advanced permits and so forth. So I just wanted to share that little piece of wisdom that you're making me think about, Jessica. And so with that, it's time to transition to a really important piece, which is funding. So I want to turn it over to you, Sharon, to talk a little bit more about opportunities for funding this work, what is available out there for people who would like to start their own program. So I'm going to transition to your slides for you to go next.
Great. Well, thank you. I am just talking about one funding source. So it's the K-12 Strong Workforce Funding, which is a partnership between the California Department of Education and the Community College Chancellor's Office. And I was just curious and wondering, maybe with a show of whatever emoji you choose, how many people know about the K-12 Strong Workforce? Maybe you are a grant recipient or you've applied before. Just curious how familiar some people are. Okay, great. I'm glad to see a few of you are, and we would love to fund programs like yours that are partnerships between a middle school and or high school and your local community college, especially to support something like growing your own teachers. So really the K-4 Strong Workforce program, really broadly, we're looking to strengthen CTE pathways. We're looking to start in the middle school, connecting to the high school and into the community college. Here in the Bay region, we do have some priority sectors that we focus in, and education is definitely one of them. I do want to quickly plug and say I work with the funding for K-12 Strong Workforce in the Bay region, but this is statewide funding. So we have about $150 million across the state. I have colleagues across the state that have my same role to help roll out this funding. But here in the Bay Area, we have, it varies a little bit, but typically between $28 to $30 million that we roll out each year. So we are looking to support LEAs. LEAs are the ones that have to apply. You do need a community college partner, but LEAs are the ones that apply, and we're looking for high quality K-14 CTE course sequences, programs, and pathways that help get students ultimately to livable wage jobs. So we're hoping that experiences for students wind up being seamless while they're in high school, potentially earning college credit through the community college and transitioning in post-secondary education, and then ideally the workforce. Next slide. So a little bit about who is eligible to apply. So I did mention this is a partnership between the California Department of Education, Community College Chancellor's Office, but you do have to be on the K-12 side to be applying. So eligible applicants include school districts, ROPs, county offices, and charter schools. So an LEA can be a part of up to 3 applications. There are different funding bands that applicants can apply for based on how big the school is and how much ADA. Either you as one school applying, or you can apply as a consortium grant. So the largest band that you can apply for or be a part of is a $2 million grant. So one LEA being a part of 3 applications could potentially be applying for up to $6 million. And next slide. So just to state again, what we are looking for is really supporting pathways that lead students to livable wages. We're looking for LEAs that are have built, continue to build strong partnerships with the community college. Again, we're really looking to support programs that are building seamless pathways for students either in middle school or middle school to high school, to the community college, to the workforce. We are wanting to support equitable pathways, so really focusing on students who might not have access to your CTE programs, that you are looking to close equity gaps. Ideally, we want, if there's a program that OUSD and Berkeley City College have right here on this pre-apprenticeship, and you are in a different part of the Bay region and you want to replicate that, say in Silicon Valley, we really want to help illuminate what successful pathways and pre-apprenticeships already exist and have other applicants be able to replicate them. And we're also trying to stay current with the growth of AI, and as much as it's relevant, have schools build that into their pathways. So a lot more to say, but I will stop here. If you do have more questions, would like to find out more about this funding source, my email is right there. There's a link to subscribe to our email listserv so you can receive information. I'm happy to talk about this funding source with anyone else at a later time.
Can I
Thank you
add
so much,
two
Sharon.
sources,
Oh,
Jerica?
yes, absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you, Sharon. And actually, it's Strong Workforce Funds that are funding this pathway in the Bay region. And we have quite a few K-12 partnerships funded through K-12 Strong Workforce. I know Leslie Marley's on here, and Contra Costa also gets some K-12 SWP funds. So it is a great way to build a bridge. I just want to announce that at our keynote today at noon, the Chancellor's Office announced that the CAI grants will be available on Friday. And California Apprenticeship Initiative grants are funding sources that have seeded many of your programs. So they're coming out on Friday. And take a look. It's announced through the Chancellor's Office website, and many of you are on my email list, and I'll be announcing that also. And we also had a recent change in policy that Strong Workforce Funds may be used for student wages. That hasn't been codified yet, but it passed. But how that's going to work is still being discussed. But I would assume that applies to K-12 SWP2 for student wages. But Sharon can correct me if that's
unfortunately no, but it's a first step in that
It's a first step. Okay.
Yeah.
So 18 and above in college, perhaps some of your students in apprenticeships can get some wage funding that, especially in our lab schools and those kind of things that were not available to us. So stay tuned. It just changed. And then the last resource I want to mention is many of you possibly know about the K-16 collaboratives, and they are everywhere. I mean, they're operating throughout California. They're kind of winding down at this point. They have a year left, but that they are making a point to look at funding to keep some of these efforts going, to collaborate between TK to 12 and community college up to grade 16 at a 4-year. So that's the mission of the K-16 collaborative. And so looking for funding is something that many of them are working on right now. So stay in touch with your K-16 collaborative lead. And Sharon, that's interesting that the youth, they can't participate in the K-12 strong workforce for wages then, right?
No,
Okay.
unfortunately, we can't pay individuals directly. Sometimes we can't pay individuals directly. Sometimes if there is a purchasing of a class or supporting another way, or maybe there potentially we can't pay individuals, but sometimes
Under
there are
K-12.
ways. Yes.
Under K-12 strong
Right,
workforce.
under K-12.
So under adult strong workforce, that's what changed. We should
Yes.
be able to pay apprentices.
That is correct.
But we will see how, when, and where, and why soon as this gets implemented. So that is a change. And there are also some other fundings. Joya mentioned, the PAYA. Also, many of you have first 5 commissions in your counties, and they have some workforce dollars. Your ECE has a number of workforce dollar initiatives. So there are ways to share. The important thing is to connect with each other. And you'll have everyone's email in this PowerPoint. Jared.
Yeah, and Kathy, you also mentioned in the chat, folks can look in the chat. There's actually been some Q&A going on in the chat. So Kathy, one of the things you mentioned is that BACCC can support with data for grant applications. So I just want to mention that because you dropped that in there. We only have a few more minutes, and there were a few questions that did not quite get answered. So I want to bring those forward. There was a question about funding sources, I think for you, Jessica, what funding sources you're using to pay the youth apprenticeships. apprentices, excuse me.
I am not really correct on that one, but if I'm correct, it will be Koya. We also partner up with ESEPS, so ESEPS gives us majority of our funding. Joya, do you know anything that you would like to add?
You stated it. I stated it for us. It's the California Opportunity Youth Apprenticeship Funds. So COYA, and then you have ESEPS. They have funding through PIA. Correct me, Keisha, if I'm wrong, but the Partnership to Advance Youth Apprenticeships. And they were the first to pilot it through OUSD and Casamont pilot program. But then there's also the SWP. There's other funding too, like I love how Leslie mentioned in the chat, you got your workforce development boards. Alameda County is complicated because we have a youth wine and we have a regular wine, so you could ask them both. So we have Measure C, yes, through First Five. So there's just a lot of options for us in the Bay Area. But I would reach out because Berkeley, for example, has the BERA Act, the Berkeley and Retention and Recruitment Act. It's passed by the voters to increase teacher workforce needs. So there's just so many little pockets, all about relationships.
Mm-hmm.
All
Absolutely.
about relationships, yeah.
And I think that was the only question. I know there's a bunch of resources being put into the chat, so definitely take a look at the chat. And we will send out our slides so that folks have contact information so that, they can reach out to you, because as Joya is saying, there's a lot within each section of our region. There's even smaller pockets of money that we can tap into. So definitely want to encourage you to reach out to the participants directly and get more information, and definitely check out the chat. In the last few minutes,
partner, don't duplicate efforts. Partner with those you can leverage your capacity, because not everybody can account for the funds. It's always something attached. So not all those monies are great to go through a community college system, for example. Maybe better to go through the employer partner, which, we learned through the PIA funds, because Berkeley City had it first, and then now Oakland has it. So it's just figuring out who is that can partner, because I appreciate you sharing with the K-16 collaborative. It's a collaborative. It's not one entity, it's a bunch making it happen. So how can we capitalize on this funding together to do this great work? So I'll stop.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like those are powerful words to close out with in terms of a call to action for our next steps as folks engaged in the work, who've been doing the work for a long time, and folks who are entering the work and wanting to start programs. So thank you, Joya, for your wisdom as someone who's been doing this work for a long time and has so much knowledge. We could do a session with just you with all the knowledge that you have. So, but everyone who's on this panel, it's been amazing to partner with you as we work together to grow capacity and information share, because we don't have to, we now have enough people doing the work that we don't have to start from scratch, right? We can build on, and that's what Teach for the Bay, Kathy, I know you could probably speak to this, but Teach for the Bay, when we first started it, it was really about that idea of like growing capacity, idea sharing, so that we can, do our best work and support each other. And when we're working together, it's so much more powerful. So thank you everyone for being on this panel, for being part of Teach for the Bay. Definitely look out for more information as we go forward. Again, the session will be recorded. We'll be sending out slides, and I'm going to drop the evaluation form for our session in the chat. If you can fill that out as we close, that would be wonderful. Give our team some feedback about this session. Take good care, everyone, and have a wonderful evening.
Hi, Iris.